JD Vance is caught between his boss, Donald Trump, and his longtime benefactor, Tucker Carlson. This is from the Washington Post. Vance is in a bind supporting a war that could cost him politically. People close to JD Vance concede that a long conflict will be a challenge for the next GOP nominee, but say the vice president hasn't made up his mind about running. Okay, I don't think anybody believes that. When you're vice president, headlines like that are problematic, not because of the headlines, but because the headlines are true. MAGA is splitting over the war in Iran. If Vance wants the top job, he must stay loyal to Trump. He must also keep Tucker happy. And right now, he is failing both tests. Here's former FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino lighting up the podcasters like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly last night on Fox News.
This is cowardly by these people who you mentioned who are doing this, because what they do is they call out Donald Trump's entire cabinet and circle of friends and advisors, but they never call out Trump because they know they'll get crushed like a bug. They know it. And then the grift dries up. Then the money dries up.
With us now, NewsNation political contributor Lauren Wright, also professor of politics at Princeton University. Mark McKinnon, creative and executive producer of the Circus on Showtime. Lauren, with permission, I'm going to start here with Mark. Got a text earlier tonight from one of the smartest media and political minds that I know, perhaps the smartest, with a prediction that JD Vance's association with Tucker will cost him the nomination in 2028. Agree or disagree?
Oh, I think it's highly possible. First of all, I think one of the real myths in politics is that being vice president is a great platform to run for president. It's really not. I mean, John McCain used to say that being vice president was like being a prisoner of war. You get kept in the dark and fed scraps. But he's in a no-win situation. This reminds me of the great country song, Torn Between Two Lovers. He can't win. He can't. It's clear where I think his inclination is toward the Tucker side of the equation, but he's also got to be loyal to the president. So he's going to get it coming and going, and it's just it's a no-win situation. By the way, just as a footnote, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being Tucker running.
Yeah, well, that is very possible. He certainly seems to be kind of setting himself up for that in this isolationist wing of the party. Lauren, to that point, why is this so difficult in the Republican Party? What is this divide between where Trump is and where Tucker is?
I think it's totally healthy, actually. I mean, what happened when Trump ran in 2015 was basically the crowd of the Republican Party had to transform themselves into the Trump party. And so they're hashing this out over very serious issues, but I'm actually more of a Vance optimist, if you will. You know, if anyone could pull this off, it's the person that was a never Trumper.
Called Trump Hitler
Vice President of the United States. So he's very skilled. And you know what? He is in the dark about some things. He's not sharing his behind-the-scenes conversations on Iran. I bet if he runs in 2028, he'll share some of that information. He'll say, I pushed back when it counted, but this wasn't the Biden administration. I listened to the boss.
You know, McKinnon, I think it was Churchill who said anybody can rat, but it takes a certain amount of panache to rat back. To re-rat, pardon me. Yes, you are correct. How do you re-rat in this situation?
Well, I mean, first of all, I give some credit to the vice president because I think he's actually handled very deftly his observations about what he knows or what his thinking is about Trump and about the deliberations about Iran. I think he's handling that exactly as he should, exactly as a vice president should. You know, he understands who the boss is, and I think he's squaring that circle pretty well as he can. But I think the Tucker forces and a lot of other people are reading between the lines to know where his heart really lies.
Yeah, no, that's true. And this Joe Kent controversy, which is the guy who was the head of the National Counterterrorism Center, basically Tucker had created him out of whole cloth as a media figure, ran for Congress a couple times, lost because of his white nationalist tendencies, gets appointed to this job, and then by all accounts was quite destructive inside the administration as he would leak to Tucker things that would try to sort of show the Israel influence, I'll use that gently, in the decision-making that Donald Trump was having. Then Kent resigns. Now he's under FBI investigation. Here was JD Vance trying to explain all of that. Take a listen.
Whatever your view is, when the President of the United States makes a decision, it's your job to help make that decision as effective and successful as possible. And so the President said this yesterday, if you are on the team and you can't help implement the decisions of his administration, he has the right to make those decisions, then it's a good thing for you to resign.
Yeah, there's a lot of reporting, Lauren, that Joe Kent went to go see JD Vance before he resigned. And then Kent puts out this letter basically calling Donald Trump an Israeli stooge. You're not doing that great of a job hiding how you feel if, as the vice president, you don't say to this guy, Kent, who clearly is in your camp, you don't undermine the president, you don't embarrass him, you don't do anything. I want to see your letter of resignation, none of which JD Vance did.
Right. But I do think Kent is the one that ends up.
Well, Kent looks terrible.
He looks terrible. Like of the two, I really think he's gotten the large share of the blame.
Okay.
And Reed Tucker, I mean, I just don't know what the strategy is, because at the end of the day, yes, there is a civil war in the Republican Party. You're absolutely right. But in 2028, what is he going to do? Support Gavin Newsom and just blow the entire thing up? I mean, what is he going to do? Support AOC, whoever the nominee is? I mean, I highly doubt it. So there could be some Tucker relapse where he gets back into the fold.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.